So if you do it twice, they take that mental note. Like, okay, this player likes to do this here. But when you add a bunch of different things, you kind of just constantly keep it guessing. And then that opens the floor for you to, like,
there's just more that the player has to take into account in every kind of interaction, right?
And by the way, we got more
Falco
Marth right
one
now.
of my favorite matchup
Oh
ever.
my dude. But I'm actually this is a really cool match to me.
These Falcos are feeding into my narrative. This Falco has lost every set we've tried.
Well, I just gotta throw out that I think these are two of the most underrated players right now. Medz is like 2 or 3 kids and just like went down. So I don't know how many people watch Smash Factor, but just went down and took a set off Wizzy, beat Johnny.
Crazy, right?
Dual mains goes between Fox and Marth.
Right.
And just as one of the most well-rounded players that I think exists. And on Frenzy's end, I think Frenzy really cool, just from the UK, someone we don't get to see very often because obviously he doesn't have that many chances to come out. But really cool playstyle. But I will say Medz is going to town right now, bro.
Frenzy, I think Frenzy's really good. Frenzy in this matchup, do they have Marths like that in the UK?
That's a good question. That's a great one. Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Frenzy uses the gun a lot. And sometimes I worry with Frenzy because I think he might use a little too much. At least from playing him in this, like we've done Falco, Marth.
And you're Marth.
And I'm Marth, and I'll just kill him off of, like, just power shield and something stupid. You know? So, I mean, laser is a good thing, but you gotta, I think laser, you gotta treat it like, I swear if Falco had, like, a limit, I think Falcos would just be, like, so much better Falco. Like, if you had only 20 bullets per stock, them lasers would hit different.
Because you'd be a lot more careful with each laser,
like, conscious of, like, how you're lasering, as opposed to just like, because I feel like Frenzy uses it as a get off me more than as a, like, a threatening, you know what I mean?
There's this
picking it up right now.
There's this thing that the drug file, I've heard drug files called the disengage laser, where sometimes players will be, they'll be scrapping, they'll be kind of scrambling with each other.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, you know what? I'm a little more comfortable if I just back off and shoot a laser. And they'll kind of reset out when they really should be keeping the pressure on. And I think it's really easy to fall into that mindset as a Falco, especially when your laser is
Ober was doing that.
Ober was for sure doing that. Yep.
I think that also comes hand in hand with fighting against Marth. I feel like that might happen more so with Falcos versus Marth because, you know, the idea of disengaging, I feel like, is relatively it's comfortable, right? You feel safe doing it because you're like, okay, I disengage, maybe I get more lasers, I can reset back to neutral. But like Falco is all about like that mix-up of when are you going in, right?
Yeah, why I think Falco's always disengaged, even as Marth in particular, though, is because everything's a counter hit. Everything's a reversal. So you're just like, you're trying your hardest not to get reversal. So you're like, okay, I'm going to laser here and then stop and see what happens. And then you get hit randomly. And you're like, the only wasn't random, but, you know, I'm a hater. So, I'm just like, yo, like, you just get hit. But in reality, it's just like, a lot of the times, like, I think why Frenzy's playing it the way he plays it is because it's like, he's just trying not to get hit. Because when you go too ham, you'll just get hit. Like, we've seen Mango play Zane where he just tries to go in, gets hit, dies at 20. We're trying to just do some crazy-ass mix-up.
Right.
You know, so a lot of Falcos, like, in Tournament 2 are cognizant of that. And they don't want to get chalked by us.
Yeah, there's kind of a natural fear factor that comes associated with spaces in Marth.
Yeah, for sure. Especially this because, like, okay, I feel like where Fox gets punished is by going in, and Marth will, like, either dash back or, like, wave dash back, something like that, forcing Fox to, like, aerial into a bad position.
Yes.
Whereas, like, Falco just gets reversaled off of just his aerials, period. Right?
Sometimes, sometimes, for example, right, you're going in, you've got a laser active, and if Marth can even sneak like a little short up in, he takes the laser, comes out with the forward air, and now it's his offense.
That's the Zane classic.
Yeah, take laser fair is better than, like, it beats out, like damn near all the Falco's areas.
Right.
Maybe Nair might do good against it, but.
Yeah, and so there's like, there's a very natural, and I think even in terms of, like, situations like that.
Yeah, you just have the huge grab. Those
situations, you have to manipulate Marth into, like, because he's knowing when Frenzy wants to laser, so he's just holding shield. You got to, like, bait him into thinking that he's safe to power shield when he's really not. Because then there's times where, like, Marth, I've played Kadoran, deadass. I've played Kadoran. this fool is just literally crouching, waiting for me to like laser.
Oh yeah.
And then I'll run in and bait that to make him think I'm lasering and I'm not. And then I'll laser. Then he gets hit by it, and then that's when I open my string up. But it's hard. It's hard to do that. But a lot of Marths, like Medz, is really good at that. But it works on him too, because I did it on him. You could just like it's just hard, because to get that one win in that exchange, sometimes you might have to take a risk that you might not be comfortable with.
That's what I'm saying, and I think you have to make that. You have to make that kind of play, right?
Yeah,
you have to go in a little bit, because if you don't, the Marth is also going to get comfortable with you disengaging, right? It might be comfortable from the Falco's end, but the Marth also feels a little bit like, oh, okay, you're pretty far away, and we're resetting back to neutral. I'm okay with this.
I think naturally speaking, in terms of this matchup, I think Falco is at his happiest when he's either pretty far away or right
really,
on
really
top
close.
of Marth.
Yeah, for sure.
And Marth is the king of the mid-range. So basically, you want to be in or you want to be out.
Right.
And for Marth, he's trying to manipulate his space and kind of work his way into the zone where he gets to call all the shots. That was really good.
Yeah.
Had enough time to actually set up that
Shout out
Marth killer?
to Frenzy.
That's
He
crazy.
Adapted. He definitely adjusted his game. The lasers worked in his favor. When you could get Marth into a rhythm where he can't power shield,
right.
That's really good. And
what I think was extra impressive about it is we saw, for example, I think a great example of this was the Sunsei versus Oberset earlier, where Sunsei started showing those really good power shields, and for moments it kind of shook Ober off the laser game. I feel like that game there were definitely moments where Frenzy lasered in and got power shield grabbed, but that didn't dissuade him from the playstyle. Right. He was like, okay, that doesn't mean I stop lasering. I just got to do it differently. Maybe mix up the heights, mix up the timings.
That's big. Being like believing in your playstyle amidst like it getting punished is so big.
Yeah, right.
You can't just change what you're doing. You can't just be like, oh, well, this guy can do that, so all right, I guess I'm just not doing that anymore. You got to keep rotating through all your tools.
Yeah. And right now, a lot of lasers, but not enough aerials.
Yeah, see, that's that forward air that we were talking about, right?
Yeah,
Marth was just like a little bit in the air, gets lasered, and then just does the forward air
that's why
right
I think
away.
lasering too much is a liability, because you can either get power shield, you get take laser fair. You have to, like you said, Toph, you have to do it differently. You have to do that. Like, I'm not saying don't laser, because that's also bad.
Right.
That might be worse. But just like, change up go a couple seconds, don't laser, dash dance, feel it out.
Be a little unpredictable.
And that's actually what we're seeing a little bit, like a little dash dance in between the lasers from Frenzy is pretty good. Because you also don't want them to get used to your laser timings.
Because then they just power shield it or take laser.
Right. Because, a lot of the time, and this is something, again, that Zane talks about, it's not that Marth is actually reacting to the laser itself. He's watching the Falco. And he's reacting to your jump and the animation of pulling the gun out and shooting the laser. It's not so if you can fake Marth players out just with like switching your movement up. Yeah. They're not literally watching the red projectile traveling across the screen. No, that's too fast. They're reacting to the Falco.
Right. You can do that by just dash dancing, normal runs.
Yeah. Like you said, you're run and shine.
Run and
no
shine.
one expects run and shine from Falco. It's like, wait, am I fighting a fox? Empty hops. Yep.
I think the best bread and butter for that though, the easiest one, the easiest mix, is just basic dash dance.
Oh yeah, that's like the number one. Like the first thing you see high level players do. You watch a melee match, you're like, oh, these guys sure do run back and forth a lot.
And they do it at such different timings. Each one is just like a different length, right? So it's really hard to react to it if you're doing it properly.
You can do it offensively. You can do it defensively. Dude, I gotta say, it's just a random little aside.
Yeah.
The main thing that I was really happy about when Ultimate came out compared to Smash 4 is that they put dash dancing back in. That alone made me give it a try.
Yeah.
I was like, the fact that they put dash dancing back in, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm at least in for a little bit.
Right. Shout out to Ultimate.
Yeah.
Also, is it on Alfred's channel?
Yeah, it's on Alfred's. Yeah. So any of y'all.
Yeah.
Also on YouTube.
That's dead.
And that's the FD game. I mean,
a lot of that.
What it is.
A lot of that was actually off of Medz being able to punish the laser timing.
Yeah.
It felt like the last two stocks was just like, I know you're gonna laser at this time, and I know how to punish it super well.
Yeah.
And then on FD, of course, you're gonna get the huge combo.
That match, that situation is just. It's just not hard.
The risk to reward is skewed, right? It's really skewed.
It's
really skewed.
But Medz is good at holding that position. Like, a lot of people will put themselves in a matchup that is just easier, straight up, right? But they don't they don't abuse what makes it easy. And like Medz did that.
Medz looks like he's
Medz
playing
also
the matchup.
Medz is good at like he moves around enough. Like some Marths, man, they're like just mannequins. They just stand there. Like Medz will always.
You can say Kadoran.
Yeah, no, I don't think that about Kadoran.
Okay.
But
Mega
like,
says that all the time.
Yeah, like Medz will just like he always has a movement out or always has a hitbox out. He could have jumped out from there, right there.
You'd have to like immediately dash to get that down.
But like Medz will always. One thing about him is he's very big on movement, and I feel like Medz always has some type of movement out.
Yeah, like right there.
Yeah.
You're pressuring me, no problem.
Right.
Wave dash out. And you know, I gotta say, like back when I used to like play Falco a lot, the number one thing that a Falco wants out of their opponent is to get the opponent locked into their shield. That makes you so happy. You're like, oh, this guy's he's just taking it. Like I laser him and he's just putting his shield up and staying there.
Right.
That's the best feeling when you're playing Falco. And the thing you don't want is someone who doesn't let you lock them down with lasers.
Right.
It doesn't feel like Medz is in shield all that often.
No.
Because it feels like when the pressure is there, it feels like Medz is good with like a wave dash out or like a good trade out of shield as well. Almost immediately, yeah.
You can argue of most Marths, like Medz plays it a little bit riskier, but what he does is just so good at having a hitbox out.
Yeah.
You know, right there.
There, right there.
That double laser, though, at 160, I don't know about that one, like that.
Double lasers have not been working out for all the Falcos we've been seeing.
Keep doing it.
It's just, it works so well when it works, right?
Oh,
when it works, it's like, oh, I got to.
Intuition, bro, you just want to do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes, like, let's dashing, like, you know, ain't trying to do all that.
You might die.
Right?
I think the hardest part about this game is not attacking sometimes.
Nah,
just
yeah,
like not
actually,
doing anything is so hard sometimes.
And sometimes, like to follow up what you said, oh, we had him dead. It's not about what you're doing. It's about art. It's not about what you, it's kind of like what you're not doing. Like sometimes you just need to just like fall back, bro.
Exactly.
Less is more sometimes.
That's just life.
Right?
To be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
Catches
But
the double
Frenzy
jump.
out here. Frenzy really doing a good job with big vertical stages.
Yeah.
Doing a good job of taking advantage of that.
Yeah, agreed. And this is I will say this is kind of what I expected. Like, this has been a very competitive set.
You know what? The laser heights actually from Frenzy have been really nice. It's like right at the top of like Marth's head. So if Marth tries to like power shield and like jump out of it, it feels like it hits that a little bit. Or if Marth tries to like jump, it feels like it hits like it hits Marth before like an aerial comes out.
That was a cold wave land. That was godlike. Yeah, okay.
Like, it looks
this
like
is when lasers are good, bro.
Yeah.
You got to lead like this.
Yeah.
Now Medz has to move forward.
Right.
And it's just annoying as hell
And
when you're just getting laser.
all that can happen is like the only things that can happen there are Marth either takes a little bit of damage or nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
So it's either slightly good for Falco or nothing, and that's like exactly the spot you want to be in.
Right. And even if you get power shielded at that percent, as you get like to 80, 90, it gets harder for Marth to follow up. Like Falco at 100 is really good versus Marth.
True. Very true.
Like, and Frenzy has really good DI.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. That
and
too.
Frenzy has super good DI, so it's
Pokemon
not necessarily
Stadium.
like a huge
Oh,
combo.
nice down tilt. So, like, he did a bad down air, and he knew that. So he down tilted to get the pushback, so he wouldn't get grabbed.
And also we saw how good
Very
Medz was out of shield there with that
Right.
fade back forward air to start this whole sequence.
Good catch.
And then catches.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
His layers, fish.
That's
That's
crazy.
looking good. And grabbing the wave dash out of shield. So Frenzy's got some download on the wave dash out of shield.
I'm not
Let's see how that
fan of
works.
the grab, bro. At least
I feel like you don't get enough.
Nah, you just like okay, sick.
Up
You got
in
an
there.
air. Now we reset.
Is it one of those things where it's like now you got to think about the idea that I might do laser grab?
That's the way I'm looking at
maybe.
it.
It's just one of those like I'm introducing this mix up. It's not going to net me so much, but it's still winning neutral.
That's a good point. I mean,
Win neutral a little bit.
It could just be like planting that seed to like, hey, this is an option. Be aware of it.
And this is, I used to talk about this endlessly with Ludwig, actually. We talk about the Samus matchup.
Okay.
And we would talk about grabbing the Samus matchup. And it's like, there's an endless amount of viewpoints on it. Because one viewpoint is, why grab Samus? You don't get anything. You can't combo her.
Right.
But then the other viewpoint is, well, it's annoying for her, and she'll shield less.
Yeah.
So it's all about, and I hate to use this word because it's it's so overloaded at this point, but it's conditioning. Really.
Yeah. So I was thinking Hugo.
I was thinking
Especially with Samus and
Hugo.
conditioning.
That's why I didn't want to say it.
But
That's why I didn't want to say
sometimes the cool thing though about throwing people in the air is you get them in the air. Marth in the air is like
He's
just worse, right?
Yeah.
And you get to follow drift and possibly hit them, catch their jump or whatever. So I understand it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just not a fan because like I just feel like I'd rather have them in the corner like this as opposed to above.
Got it, yeah. Yeah, and you'd rather, if you want to threaten a wave dash out of shield, you'd rather throw a down air out. Because if you hit a down air, then you get...
That, like something like that, yeah. Up air,
boom.
The twinkle toes.
A lot of that corner pressure was off that like laser at the head height of Marth, and then going in for the grab also in that corner, because it felt like Medz was just trying to power shield everything, right? So shield is going to be coming up a bit.
Like the I like forward throws more so because you're just pushing them that
forward
way.
throws
and
awesome.
Marth sucks at the ledge, so if you can get him in the corner.
That was such a good wave dash shine.
Nice
the slide
he
off?
slid off the other ledge. Oh, but Medz.
So
that's what happens when you... Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay, I'll say it. Yeah, because he tried to do the exact same slide off, but that's adaptation. Medz said, you want to go that way? I'll send you that way.
Yeah.
And then you get like the huge DI mix-up, right? Because you're holding far to the right to get the slide off.
He was at 70. He would have died at 40. With that DI, he would have died at 40.
Oh, yeah.
See, like, Medz rolled into Frenzy, and then Frenzy grabbed it, but I just felt like you could keep pressuring. He got damaged.
Right.
Though. He should be dead right here.
Okay.
I doubled down there.
Oh! Okay.
All right.
Nothing to say about
Dang.
that. Yeah,
My bad.
Man, I'm just not there.
Going for a DI mix-up, I respect it.
Yeah.
Because that can send really far.
Oh, nice
really,
roll.
Really
that was
far.
actually a good roll.
It was.
Yeah, I'm going to stop lasering there, though. Yeah.
Okay.
Still living.
At least the DI's been good on these tippers.
That was such a good short. That was crazy.
Going for ledge dashes. I see you, Frenzy.
That's so different from from Albert, right? What we were talking about before.
That's fair by Medz. This should be it. No.
Up tilt of all moves.
This is Falco's percent.
Oh,
bro.
the push
Falco's so good in this position.
Yes.
Oh, the power shot. The grounded laser.
Oh,
this
my
is
goodness.
Frenzy's favorite.
It is. Oh, my goodness. Because all you need is a back air and then an edge guard.
Yep. Oh.
Laser nair. Hang on. Oh.
Oh, I would stop lasering.
Laser forward tilt.
Forward tilt's so good.
Up air. Yep.
Wow.
What a
I played
comeback
that
from
matchup too many
Frenzy.
times.
Called it, man.
Bro, once he hit him at 100 and was at like 30, I'm like, especially with the way Medz, like I say, he's always moving in that position. And in that scenario, it's not good.
Yeah.
Just that one's because it's just like, dude, Falco, they're gonna play it slow and steady.